Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 351 of Super Switch Headz, the premier Nintendo podcast on all of the internet. My name is David Howe, and boy, oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by a very special guest. Crowd favorite. You know him. You love him. Welcome back to the show, the one and only Jay Rios. How's it going, Jay?
Hey, it's going good. Thanks for having me back on again.
Of course, I'm very excited to have a one-on-one with you, Jay. I think this is our first one-on-one episode.
It is.
So that'll be exciting. We have you here to talk all about Nintendo Directs. We have been in an unprecedented General Direct drought since September of last year. This has all coincided with Nintendo's use of Nintendo Today, their new app, which they have been dropping tons of new game information on. So that begs the question, are Directs dead? Is Nintendo killing them? Has Nintendo Today killed the Nintendo Direct? What is their marketing strategy going forward? We're going to be discussing that and much more in the main topic. We also have a lot of news and rumors to get to this week. Lots of interesting stuff has happened. Those previously mentioned Nintendo games were announced. We got Splatoon Raiders and Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, both dated. Tomodachi Life came out last week, as we talked about on our episode, and it is a guaranteed smash hit in Japan. The Super Mario Galaxy soundtracks for the video games have popped up on Spotify, and much, much more. But before we get into that, how you doing, Jay? How was your past week?
I'm doing good. No, I think last time I was on like a year ago about, and yeah, happy to report things are going a lot better. Finally got a job.
Okay, very good. I hope to be like you one day.
It's not my favorite job, but it's a job. And my girlfriend's moved in, and yeah, things have been nice and stable.
Wow.
So can't complain.
I'm glad to hear that. Sometimes like some stability, a lack of consequence is what one needs in one's life.
Oh my God, yes.
We were trying to tabulate the amount of times that you've been on the show before we were recording here.
Right.
I think this is maybe your 7th guest appearance. I feel like maybe we said that last time though. Let's just say an extraordinate amount of times you have been on the show. Like I said, a crowd favorite. So great to have you on. Yeah, I had a pretty good past week. It was mostly chill. Spent some time with a couple friends. My friend Alexa was in town, so got to see her over the weekend, hung out with Baylor, that whole crew, and Rob as well came over. We played a little bit of video games. I'll talk about some of that at the end of the show. But I think other than that, the past week has still been more Tomodachi Life. And although I think I'm finally starting to peter out a little bit.
I got hooked.
Okay.
I bought it this weekend and I have mostly played it.
You got the bug. The bug.
I got the bug. Yeah. I'm happy.
Good stuff.
It's such an experience.
Well, we'll talk more in detail about our time with Tomodachi Life at the end of the episode, but it's good. Definitely don't miss out if you haven't gotten it yet. Before we get into the news and rumors, I do want to give a couple shout outs, or really namely one shout out. And this is over on TikTok. Muscled Nightmare left a comment in regards to the short that we had created over there about Nintendo's kind of cozy game strategy that they've been doing recently with Pokopia, Tomodachi Life, the 3.0 update for Animal Crossing. And Muscled Nightmare said, Pokopia won me. I just hit 225 hours. I rush my routines with other games just so I can chill with Pokopia. And that's really great to hear. I honestly... Tomodachi Life has taken the place of Pokopia for me, but I'm glad to hear that people are still enjoying that game quite a bit.
I'm hooked on both right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I feel like we are in an unprecedented time for cozy games for Nintendo. It is
absolutely.
Your cup overfloweth if you like to plant little things on the ground and move things around an island. So thank you very much, Muscled Nightmare. If you would like to be shouted out on next week's episode, listener, please drop us a line. Best place to do that is in the comments of the YouTube version of this podcast. We put up a YouTube version, a video version every single week. Like and subscribe if you could while you're over there. We'd always appreciate your patronage over on the YouTube. But if you could leave us a comment over on our vertical videos as well. We're putting up clips recently on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts. Leave a comment over there and we'll be sure to hit you up. social media as well. We're on Blue Sky, Instagram, and stuff like that. We'd love to hear from you, and we will shout you out. Also, if you could just share the show with a friend, I think that word of mouth goes a really long way. We'll have more information at the end of the show about all the ways that you can contact us. But I think with all that out of the way, I'm ready to get into the news. What about you?
Let's do it.
Jay?
Let's go.
Yeah, we're good. We're freaking raring and ready to go right now. Yeah, I'm shaking with excitement. All right, let's go. So we're going to start here with a bit of Tomodachi Life news. And like I said, this game is a hit. We don't have sales numbers for most of the world, but we do have first week sales numbers for Japan, and it is a massive success over there already. And I think the first 3 days that were listed from Famitsu, 565,405 retail copies of the games were sold in Japan alone. That's huge. I mean, Japan, obviously, if you could sell 1 million copies of a game in Japan, then that's a huge hit. So for it to have 500,000 in the first 4 days of recorded sales, and again, that's not even counting digital sales. That is just physical sales from retail stores. So that's enormous. I think that it's had a really big marketing campaign over there, and I think it just kind of plays to Japanese sensibilities a little bit as well. So it's no surprise. Very excited to hear what the worldwide sales of this game are. I'm sure we'll be seeing some of that whenever Nintendo drops their next bit of financials. What do you think about the runaway success of Tomodachi Life, Jay? Are you surprised by this at all?
Not at all. It's we'll get into it more at the end. And y'all already talked about it. It's like a very accessible game, I feel. Like it's weird as hell, but it's so easy to just pick up and watch it. So I'm not really surprised to hear it's doing great.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I was quite surprised at how much time I sunk into this game so far. I think I'm well over 50 hours into this game at this point. But yeah, like you said, I think the cozy games, Nintendo is really starting to understand just how valuable these are for the size of their audience. And I think, that's because the gaming audience and demographics have grown substantially since COVID, right? And I think there's just a way bigger market for these style of games than there were before. Not to say that the first Tomodachi Life wasn't also a huge success. I think that sold in the realm of 7 to 8 million copies for its lifetime on 3DS as well. So I think this was always going to be a good time. But to put this in comparison to the last time Nintendo had such a runaway success, Animal Crossing New Horizons, over its first period of time, I think the 3 days that it came out, guess how many units that sold?
600,000.
1.88 million copies in the same time span. So that really goes to show how beneficial the stay-at-home orders were in the COVID lockdown era. But yeah, I don't know. I think this game has a really bright future ahead of it. I hope to see it get lots of updates in the same way that Animal Crossing did as well. Yeah, I feel like I'm finally starting to hit a point where I've seen most of what I want to see with the game. But we'll move on to our next bit of news. And this is a fun one, gang, because a group of gamers have decided that they are going to sue Nintendo over tariff money. So you may remember that I think last month or maybe a couple months ago now, the Supreme Court said that Trump's tariffs were illegal and that a lot of the money that they had been taking had to be given back to a lot of the companies that they were paying, the tariffs that they were paying for all of, the imports and whatnot for their games and services from other countries. When that was said, I mean, this is something we talked about on the show, is that Nintendo raised the price of almost all of their peripherals in order to counteract the tariffs that they'd have to be paying to the U.S. government. And I was worried that none of that money would come back to us. It seems that some of these gamers have thought similarly and have decided to file a class action lawsuit against Nintendo to get some of those funds back. I think that is more than fair. Certainly we were all paying however much more for Pro controllers for the Switch 2 and that freaking what was the Piranha Plant camera was supposed to be $20 and it ended up being 60 or something like that. Come on, man. Nintendo was doing everything they could to not raise the price of the Switch 2, but didn't mean that they weren't hitting people in their wallets. So what do you think about this, Jay? Do you think that this will be successful at all?
Probably not. I think it's fair, but I can't imagine this is going to result in anyone getting a ton of money. Maybe everybody gets like $5-10.
I think it's not unprecedented. Nintendo has lost class action lawsuits in the past. I think famously one of the ones that they're most known for was back in the 90s, whenever a bunch of, I think it was like angry parents were sued Nintendo because of the non-backwards compatibility of the Super Nintendo to the NES and the way that it was marketed was not appropriate, and they were angry that they had to buy a whole new system with all brand new games. And I know that the way that Nintendo settled that class action lawsuit was by offering everyone a $5 coupon for Nintendo products. So
I think that's probably what's going to happen. It's like a $5 e-gift card.
Yeah, eShop gift card. You can buy like one DLC deeply discounted. But anyway, the gamers that have been suing Nintendo are Gregory Hoffert and Prashant Sharan, both in Washington and California as well. And so I think this is going through state courts right now, and then it'll eventually make its way nationally. So we'll see if this ends up going through. I hope so, because it would set a new precedent, I think, for all of the companies that are doing this, because Nintendo is not the only company that has since sued the U.S. government. So going from one to the other and then back to the customer, I think definitely makes the most amount of sense.
Absolutely.
We'll move on to our next bit of news, and this is kind of a strange one. The Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 soundtracks, and not the movie here, but the video game soundtracks, have popped up on Spotify randomly. This was announced by Nintendo. This is apparently a limited time thing, like they're on Spotify now for the time being, but will be taken down eventually. It's just a little strange that Nintendo has been pushing their own music streaming service. And this is, I think, what most people want from Nintendo, is just to have all of their game soundtracks available on the streaming services that they all use, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that there's any chance they'll start doing this with more soundtracks, Jay? Or do you think this is really a one-time only thing?
Sounds like a test drive to me, but it's also a weird one because the music app is like less than 2 years old, I think. So it's still pretty new. I don't know. It's weird. Maybe it's a way to get people to download the music app.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, especially if they get like hooked on the soundtrack and then they're like, oh, it went away. Where's the only place
it went away? Where am I going to get it?
I guess I need a Nintendo Switch Online subscription. Yeah, I don't know. It's odd. I don't really get the full strategy here. Maybe they're also just trying to, I don't know. Maybe it's like trying to get more people to just know that the games exist as well. Because I'm sure lots of kids that really enjoyed the movie are searching for the soundtracks on Spotify to listen to them. And then they find these and they're like, wait, what's this? This music's amazing too. I don't know. It really goes to show how synergizing Nintendo is trying to be with all of their movie stuff that they're doing these days, right?
Right.
And it really makes me think that anything we see pop up in any of these movies, you can pretty much guarantee will be something that they're going to be trying to push in their other divisions as well, right? Stuff like, for instance, with the big Star Fox push that we've been seeing from the movie. Like, do you think that that could lead to anything other than a game or a movie? Like, could you see them synergizing anyway with any of their other properties?
I don't know. It's Nintendo. You never know what they're going to do. They're so unpredictable. And I also haven't seen the new Mario movie yet.
So you haven't? Like, did I spoil that Fox is in it? You knew that.
No, everybody knows. Everyone keeps talking about a Star Fox game. I don't want to get my hopes up, but we'll see.
Well, we'll talk about it a little bit more in the main topic, but I think that there is a decently large chance that, we're recording this episode on Monday, April 27th. The Mario movie just came out in Japan this past weekend. It's Golden Week in Japan. So they held the movie for like 3 weeks or so that they could release it while everybody was on vacation.
That's smart. That was smart.
Exactly. So they could take their families. So I've always thought that if they're going to announce this Fox game, it's going to be the week after, basically, the movie comes out in Japan. So I would not be surprised if between us recording this episode and this podcast releasing, the new Star Fox game is announced on Nintendo today. My official guess is that it's coming April 28th. I will insert right here if that ended up happening. But time will surely tell. Anyway, go check out the Mario Galaxy soundtracks on Spotify. Honestly, 2 of the best video game soundtracks of all time.
100%.
Truly remarkable stuff. Speaking of Nintendo movies, we're going to move on to the next bit of news. And this is a big old rumor. So take this with a massive grain of salt. This just kind of dropped today. And the rumor monger, what do you call somebody who spreads rumors?
A rumor spreader?
Rumor, yeah. The butt cheek spreader.
There
I'm not
we go.
gonna, no, I don't have to. Come on now. This is a family show. The rumor monger is V Scooper, a leaker who has gotten some things right in the past. I think, namely, the new Tomb Raider game being an open world game that's set in like Central America. That was all kind of leaked by this leaker, and I think they've been doing lots of Hollywood leaks recently. So who knows exactly what their sources are? But they're currently saying that Nintendo is shopping around a Metroid movie, and that they are basically trying to go between 2 studios right now, seeing who has the better pitch. Those studios would obviously be the studios that they've worked with so far with their films. So Sony for the live action Zelda movie, and Universal with the Illumination animated Mario movies, and the purported upcoming Donkey Kong movie as well. There's a rumor that will be coming out in 2028. But take this all with a big grain of salt. We don't know that any of this has been corroborated in any way. But I do think it's very interesting. And I think that a live action Metroid movie makes a lot of sense. Again, this feels like something that like an animated series would just kill. You know, I've been really, really hoping that they would go the 2D anime style series with Metroid for a long time. But I know that specifically Brie Larson has been campaigning to be Samus for a really long time, even purportedly going out and filming some test shoots as Samus in order to try and push herself a little bit towards the live action Samus role. Who knows if that'll end up happening? You know, some of that's fan casting where Brie is the fan, but it's happened in the past, you know, like it was, what's his name? Glenn Powell and Donald Glover both went to Nintendo themselves being like, please let me play Fox. Please let me play Yoshi, you know? So, and that ended up working. So maybe Nintendo's just taking whoever says, put me in your movie these days. But would you want to see a Metroid movie? Do you think live action is the way to go?
I think if it's a movie, yes. If it's a show, animated. But I feel like a movie could work, honestly. It just needs to be, how do I put it? Obviously, it's going to need to have like some form of dialogue, but still needs to maintain that Metroid like isolation. I think that's going to be the key. There can't be too many humans in it, I guess. Just keep it locked in.
Yeah. I know another thing that V Scooper said is that the movie is aiming to be a horror style film. So this would be definitely leaning into that aspect, very much inspired by Alien, but kind of like a PG-13 instead of like a hard R.
Yeah.
I could see a PG-13 Metroid movie for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think the way that PG-13 is these days, like that could still be pretty freaky.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'd love to see it. This is, again, huge grain of salt on this one. I've never heard of V Scooper before today, but all of the press is running with this right now. So definitely wanted to bring it up on the episode. Are there any other video game franchises, specifically Nintendo franchises, that you think would make really good movies?
Let's see. Metroid, Zelda. There's already been Pokemon movies.
Yeah.
I would love Earthbound. That is never going to happen in our lifetimes. But I think Earthbound could make a fantastic movie.
Earthbound would make a fantastic movie. It'd be so quirked up.
It'd be so great. And like, I don't know. There's so many ways you could go with it.
How about an Earthbound like claymation movie? Like a stop motion Earthbound movie?
That would be perfect.
That'd be incredible, right? Yeah. I still think it's crazy that Pikmin movie hasn't been announced yet with how much Nintendo's been pushing Pikmin. And with Illumination. I mean, it's like Pikmin are kind of like
built for it.
They're kind of the minions of Nintendo, right?
Exactly.
So I could definitely see that happening as well. But if a lot of these rumors are to be believed, there's a big slate of Nintendo movies fast approaching. The Star Fox movie's been rumored. A Smash crossover movie has been rumored. So I think, if this is all truly happening, then I think we're going to be eating good over the next decade or so in theaters as Nintendo fans. But
absolutely,
we'll go ahead and move on from that to some non-Nintendo news here. One of them is fun and the other is not. But we'll start here with the fun one, and that is that the Steam controller has officially been dated and a price has been given. As you may know, recently Valve revealed the Steam Machine, the Steam Frame, and the Steam Controller, all new hardware from Valve in their big push to further the ecosystem that they've created with the Steam Deck. And now the Steam controller is in the hands of influencers and reviewers, and it has a release date, or at least a date that you can purchase it. And that currently is May 4th. So that's pretty soon. I'm sure they'll ship pretty soon after that. The price is a little high. It's going to be $100. But it's a very feature-packed controller. Probably the most feature-packed controller that's on the market right now. Has even more features than, say, the DualShock 5 or the DualSense, actually, is the PS5's controller. It's got the touchpads. It's got like capacitive grip on the back as well as capacitive touch on the sticks. It's got the back buttons and all sorts of gyro features and whatnot, plus a little puck for charging and whatnot. I'm a big-time Steam Deck gamer. That said, I don't play my Steam Deck as much on the TV, right? And I don't really have a gaming PC other than my deck right now. So while I definitely want this game, given that I'm kind of currently unemployed, I might hold off until the whole ecosystem is in place, because I feel like this would be perfect for use with like a Steam machine, right? And so it's like, I think getting everything as like kind of one big set, I think would make the most sense. I am trying to keep some money aside for when the eventual Steam machine comes out. We'll see if I make it that far. But what do you think about this, Jay? And do you think that the $100 price tag is indicative of any pricing that we can expect for the Steam machine going forward?
This is actually the first I've heard of this controller, so I haven't even seen what it looks like yet. I'll look it up super quick. But I'm not too surprised on the price. It's obviously not great, but what's it called? The Switch 2 Pro controller was like $90, So I do think there is some precedent for this, and I am someone who wants to be a better Steam gamer. It's just the timing just never works out. Like I would totally.
Do you have a gaming PC?
I don't, and I just don't need one. Like I have PS5, have the Switch 2, and some emulation handhelds. I just can't justify it. Yeah,
I feel you.
Steam Deck still, to me, looks like the most appealing.
It'd be interesting to see if this has any compatibility with other hardware as well. Like, for instance, the Switch can work with so many Bluetooth controllers, right? So I know it obviously has its local communication to the Steam Puck thing, or the controller puck. That it kind of snaps onto. But I do think it also has a Bluetooth mode. So it'd be really cool if you were able to use this, say, on the Switch 2. I think that would be great. That would definitely sweeten the deal for me. To have another controller that's kind of one of my mainstays. Because I will say, like, as a Steam Deck player, I don't like playing, like when I do play my Steam Deck docked on the TV, I don't like playing that with regular controllers, because I'm so used to having, the jump buttons on first-person shooters mapped to the buttons in the back, and I like the gyro and all the features of the Steam Deck I miss when I'm playing my Steam Deck with any other controller, right? So whenever I'm a little bit more flush with cash, I'll definitely be picking this one up.
Yeah, I'm looking at a picture now. It could be great on the Switch too if you could make the pads be mouse controls somehow. I don't know if that'd be kind of redundant, but
I hadn't even really considered that. I have no idea how they would do that.
I don't think it's possible.
I don't think it's possible, but my mouth is watering at the thought of that.
That could be neat.
Because it is true. It's like, I think that's something I really like about the deck, is like, I play a lot of, PC mouse games on in handheld on the deck, and it feels really, really good. And so being able to do that while also sitting on my couch and the TV, I think would be very special indeed.
Hell yeah.
But we'll move on to the news that isn't quite as fun to talk about, but interesting nonetheless. And that is that over the weekend, the White House Correspondents' Dinner was supposed to happen in Washington, D.C. It started and then was quickly stopped by an active shooter. And by that, there was a man by the name of Cole Allen who had run in with intent to, I think, assassinate the president. And if not assassinate the president, I think anyone in his cabinet. That was according to the manifesto that leaked online from Cole Allen. But a few other things have also leaked about Cole Allen, and this is according to his LinkedIn. Apparently, he was an independent game developer. So, and this is self-purported, this is a self-published game that he put out, but he put out a game called Boredom, Bohrdom, and that was on Steam. It was kind of a action shooter puzzle game about science. The dude was like a straight up nerd. He was a big STEM guy. I think he was a teacher, and he did lots of stuff in that realm as well. But apparently he was also making a game where you play as a nucleus in an atom. And you are trying to hit electrons. I don't know. I will say I bought the game. The night that it came out that he was an indie game dev, I immediately went to Steam and checked it out, and his game was only $2. So I was like, you know what? I'll buy that. I'll check it out and see what it's like.
How is it?
Not great. Not anybody can put any game on Steam, and there's a reason this is $2. It's also just like very difficult to understand. Like, you can't play the game without playing the tutorial, and the tutorial just it takes a really long time and is very wordy and doesn't make a ton of sense. But it's fascinating that that's where we are with games right now. It's like, I feel like anybody can make a game. Also, the people that we see committing political violence these days could be anybody. This is a pretty normal guy. I think a lot of the stuff coming out of the White House is that, this was like a super radical, anti-Christian terrorist and whatever. And, looking at the digital footprint of this guy online, he was just kind of a normal dude. He was a teacher. He was a nerd. He was an engineer. He made video games. He was not a super radical guy. He was kind of your regular old centrist Democrat, right? As from everything you could see from this guy's like blue sky and social media presence and whatnot. So it's just kind of interesting to see where we're at as a society right now in regards to our political landscape. But that's not necessarily what this story is about. But do you have any thoughts, Jay, about Cole Allen, the current state of MAGA republicanism in the United States? What do you have to say on this topic?
How much time do we have? I have my own thoughts on that. It seems convenient is what I will say and leave it at. And I'm not itching to play his game, but it's just weird. Yeah. And I will admit some of the footage I saw was kind of funny. So.
Yeah, the dude was booking it, man. You saw the security camera footage?
No.
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
Booking it. This dude was fast. He was trying to get in. I just saw
all the Republicans leaving their wives behind as they were being evacuated.
Kash Patel got cucked also. He found out he was cucked. Did you see that?
No.
Apparently the New York Times was talking about the cabinet members, and it was like Kash Patel's wife was found in the bathroom holding the hand of another man. It was just like, what? Why'd you have to drop that?
What?
So that was an interesting bit of news.
He's had a fun couple of weeks. Man.
My goodness gracious, that man needs to cut back on the drinking.
The Coke.
Yeah, and Coca-Cola, of course. No, but yeah, this is fascinating stuff. This could have easily been Patrick. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't know about that.
Self-published indie game on Steam. Just a normie from. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to bleep that out. I don't need to say where Patrick lives, especially because now I think this podcast is on the FBI's watch list. Kash, you're not cucked. You're a normal guy. You're an excellent lover.
You're cool and buff and fun.
Everyone loves you.
Everyone loves you so much.
All right, we're going to move on from this bit of news. If you're still with us, we're moving on to the next bit of news. And we're finally back in the era of Nintendo because, as we said, these two news stories are going to be kind of leading us into our main topic here because over the past week, Nintendo Today has dropped a bunch of information about upcoming Switch games. The first of which is Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. Mysterious Book is a pretty good name for it because up to this point, Nintendo's been very cagey about what the style of gameplay is for this game, but they recently had a lot of creators come to gameplay sessions where people have been able to get hands-on experience with the game, and also Nintendo has released an overview trailer for Yoshi and the Mysterious Book along with the release date. And that release date is the 21st of May. So we're looking at little under a month until Yoshi and the Mysterious Book comes out. I wasn't sure what to make of this game other than the fact that it was gorgeous and that Yoshi games are generally baby games for babies. And that's not always true. Like, I think Crafted World was really good, and obviously Yoshi's Island is still, I think, the best in the franchise. But this game is actually sounding like it's pretty unique. Everything I'm hearing from this game is that it is not kind of a typical platformer, but rather a very exploration-focused game. And this is going to be a lot more akin to, say, something like Mario 64 than Yoshi's Island, where you have kind of big open spaces you can explore at will. There's no life meter. There's no death in this game. It's all about exploring, finding new enemies, learning things about your environments and whatnot. And everything I'm hearing about it actually sounds pretty freaking fun. Did you have a chance to look at the overview trailer for this at all, Jay? And are you excited for this game?
I had no idea that was even out yet. But the game looks cool. I just haven't seen anything that's like, oh, I got to get that just yet.
Right. Yeah, I think this is one that people assumed is going to be $70. And it still is going to be $70 physically. But I think at $60, I think we're going to see a lot more people jumping on this game than people were originally thinking. And the word of mouth is really positive from everybody that's had hands-on with this game so far. So I know reading a lot of the hands-on impressions, watching the overview trailer really made my excitement shoot up for the game, just because, it's really trying to do its own thing. It's not trying to be a kids first platformer here. This is very much a sort of game that we haven't really seen before from Nintendo, especially in the kind of 2D platforming genre. So I don't know. I'm really interested in this game. I'll definitely be picking this game up and playing it whenever it comes out. So you can hear more of our impressions on the game whenever that releases, as I said, in a little bit less than a month. Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. Wow. Wasn't anticipating that. Anyway, we'll move on to our last bit of news, and this is another thing that dropped literally just out of the blue on a Tuesday. But we have a release date and price and lots more information on the upcoming game Splatoon Raiders. That's right. This game is out July 23rd, 2026. If you've been filling out your calendars at home, you'll know that this leaves a mysterious blank hole in June. I wonder what game could be releasing there in Nintendo's oeuvre. It's a trap. Wait, no, that's Star Wars. Do a barrel roll. Anyway.
Close enough.
Splatoon Raiders is looking really, really good. Did you see this trailer, Jay? Did you get to check this out?
I did see the newest one that came out. Yeah.
Yeah. What's your take on Splatoon Raiders so far?
It looks cool. I love Splatoon. I just don't know if single player Splatoon is for me. Like I have 100 hours in the multiplayer Splatoon 3. I couldn't really get into Salmon Run. So I don't know. I might try it out, but I'm definitely going to wait and hear about it first.
Yeah, I mean, this game certainly does look like Salmon Run, right? I think that the enemies in this are the salmonids, as I can tell. And from what I understand from watching the trailer, I didn't break it apart. I wasn't super analyzing the trailer because I do just want to play this game whenever it comes out generally. So I will be picking this up. But it seems like it's going to be somewhat of a mix between the side order roguelike style gameplay where you're getting weapons, upgrading them, upgrading your stats and whatnot, and Salmon Run, where it's a single player focus and you can play by yourself or you can play cooperatively where all the difficulty, shoots up when you're playing with more people, right? But it's pretty cool looking. It looks like you're in sort of an open area, or at least there's an open map that you can go between the different, islands in this area and kind of go from place to place. And it looks like you're hunting down some of these salmonids, and you'll get weapons, and you upgrade those weapons as you go. This looks like a pretty freaking fun time. I am like you though, Jay, where I mostly play the online competitive multiplayer within Splatoon. But I think the fact that this is a standalone game, it's doing kind of its own thing a little bit, or rather an evolution of some of the ideas that they've been putting out so far, definitely has me quite a bit more interested. I know everyone in our Discord is just kind of frothing at the mouth to get this thing.
Which is great. I think that's what I'm going to wait for, is wait to hear what everyone in the Discord says about it.
Right. So that will be on July 23rd, 2026. And this is also interesting because this is following the new thing that Nintendo said they're doing with the pricing, right? So we're going to be seeing a more expensive physical edition and a cheaper digital edition. This time, the physical for the Switch 2 game is $60 and the digital is $50. So we're seeing them make good on that promise for variable pricing here. And I think that that's a really good thing. I think it does make me a little worried about the longevity of this game, how much content is going to be in it. Kind of like we talked about last week when we were, or maybe that was the week before. I think it was Patrick that was worried about the length of Rhythm Heaven, it being a $40 game that's coming out for the original Switch. But I think that's excellent. And I really, really hope to see all new releases like that going forward. I think people are going to be really pissed off at the first game that is $80 physical and $70 digital. But that will certainly happen with either the Zelda or the Mario games, right?
100%.
Yeah. In addition to the actual game coming out, it looks like as well we'll be getting some amiibo. That's right. We will be getting the Deep Cut, I believe, is the idols from, or is it Off the Hook? Off the Hook or Deep Cut? Which one is
Deep
which?
Cut. Deep Cut's the newest.
Yeah, I think so. That's what I thought. And so they have some new amiibo specifically for this game. I think it's going to be really hard for me not to pick these up. I've kind of like made my bed of the only amiibo that I actually fully collect are the Splatoon amiibos. So I think I am going to have to actually pick these up. But
if they come out with another Big Man amiibo, I will buy it.
I mean, regardless. Big Man is in the set. You can get them individually, I think at $25 each, or all together. I think at $50 for all three, which is a lot of money.
That's a tough buy for me. But if I can get Big Man individually, I'll buy it.
You should be able to get Big Man individually.
Okay, good.
Absolutely. But I'm going to get all three. I have to get all this.
Why not?
Amiibos.
Do it.
Yeah. Whatever. One day they'll be worth something. I don't know. Probably not.
$5 more.
Well, anyway, all of that said, these are two big announcements that I think would have fit right at home in a direct, right? And additionally, as we also said, Yoshi coming out at the end of May, this coming out later in July, leaves June wide open, which means that any day now, we are fully expecting to hear from Nintendo on the Nintendo Today app that Star Fox will be filling that hole in June. But will a Nintendo Direct be also filling that space in June? We're going to answer that question and speculate a little bit more on the future of Nintendo Directs here with Jay Rios right after this break. And we are back with Jay Rios to talk all about Nintendo Directs. Where are they? Are they dead? Is the future as uncertain as it seems for Nintendo Directs? And has Nintendo Today killed them? We're going to be talking all about that this week. Jay, I want to get your thoughts just off the bat. Do you feel like you're in a Nintendo Direct drought? Are you a fan of these presentations? And what do you think the future looks like so far for Nintendo Directs?
I do feel like we're in a bit of a drought. The last one was September, right?
Kind of. The last Direct we got was in, we've gotten a number of Directs, but mostly they've been either game specific or they've been partner showcases, right? So in February, we got a partner showcase, which, as those started obviously in 2020, I feel like mostly because of contractual obligations to put games in directs, even when they didn't have anything themselves to show, Nintendo. But, there was definitely some interesting stuff in that partner showcase, but it was not the direct I think Nintendo needed at the time. But before that, yes, the last general direct was a very, very long one. It was the first direct of the Switch 2 era, and that was in September, that being about an hour long.
Yeah, I feel like we're in a drought. I really like Nintendo Directs. I think it's a lot of fun. The hype around it and just kind of like just getting excited, especially in like online groups and everything. But I also am starting to feel like maybe they're not needed anymore. I personally have not downloaded the Nintendo Today app just because I have like 4 Nintendo apps already on my phone.
Yeah, right.
And it feels like when something drops, it just goes on the internet anyways. But yeah, it does seem like Nintendo is kind of like might be done with those, unless it's like the Kirby Air Riders one. I could see them still doing those, like those lengthy ones.
There were a few of those too. I think Sakurai did like 2 of them, and they were both like 45 minutes or an hour long. It was ridiculous.
It was wild.
But I mean, I'm kind of there with you. I mean, it's probably worth looking back a little bit at sort of how directs came about in the first place, because those really were a product of Satoru Iwata, right? And I think that, Iwata was the kind of president of Nintendo where he, I think, took the failure of the Wii U very personally and really wanted to make right by a lot of people. And I think a big way that he did that was introducing the direct format, right? And I think that was literally meant to be, this is a direct line from the president of the company to the consumer, right? And so he hosted them, right? He was the president of Nintendo. He's like, here I am. I want to speak directly to you about what we have coming up. I don't want to have any artifice between what is going on in the company and what's going straight to you in your wallet, right? and in your eyeballs and in your consoles, right? So I think that was the kind of initial reason for the directs coming about, and kind of I think it was maybe 2013 was the first direct, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong on that.
That sounds right.
Yeah. But anyway, I think directs themselves were already a bit of an abstraction from what Nintendo had previously been doing, which was kind of the press releases that they would do at E3, right? And so I think, we kind of went from this era of like, Shigeru Miyamoto and like Reggie Fils-Aimé, like standing on a stage in California during E3 and presenting. And that was like the main way that people got news from Nintendo. That was like a once a year thing. And then I feel like they started doing these directs in lieu of doing a stage presentation at E3, right? And then, of course, E3 went away. And I feel like Nintendo was like, that's fine. we don't care. We already have a whole system set up to where we don't even need E3 anymore, right? And then you started seeing a lot of these other companies following suit as well. And now it seems like we've kind of moved past that. And not only have we abstracted further into these kind of Twitter and Nintendo Today drops, and we'll talk a little bit more about whether or not Nintendo Today is worth it, as you kind of already mentioned. I don't think I ever open up Nintendo Today. I don't know the last time I opened up that app, but it's like we've abstracted past that. But I think also since then, directs have changed quite a bit as well, and in many ways, right? Direct can kind of just mean any video presentation that they do now. They're not just around E3 anymore, although we do generally get one in June, in the summer, around when E3 was. And I still kind of expect that we'll get another one this year because we don't know much about Nintendo's slate for the rest of the year right now.
Right.
But, as far as the president of Nintendo speaking directly to consumers, like we don't really see that anymore. Oftentimes it'll be someone like Yoshiaki Koizumi, or someone like that who will be presenting these things. And I think, obviously he's more comfortable on screen. You can just tell the way that he presents. He's a very good face for this. You do see Shigeru Miyamoto come in a lot. But I mean, Shigeru Miyamoto is, kind of only barely still with Nintendo right now. He's kind of been in more in an advisory role at the company for a while anyway. So the kind of purpose of them has shifted. And they sort of turned into these big events that people now have sort of taken for granted quite a bit. And I really feel like even last year, when Nintendo Today was coming out, they were like, expect that Nintendo Directs are going to change a bit, or that there'll be less of them or whatnot. And they've been really making true on that. And I think, pretty much all of this year and even a lot of last year, we were seeing independent drops on, namely Nintendo Today, but still, I think a big place where they push stuff is still Twitter. And I think people are still just as excited for these as they were whenever these games were announced in a batch. What do you think about that? Like, do you think that people get as excited when, like for instance, last week, it was just a random Tuesday morning that they dropped all this information about Splatoon. Like, do you enjoy that as much?
I like having a batch of things to get excited about. Mm-hmm. I can kind of see why maybe Nintendo is shifting towards a singular focus, because whatever, I'm no economist, but I imagine, especially when lots of stuff gets announced for the Direct, people's minds are constantly going from this game. If they keep it more focused, it's kind of like, okay, we got this game coming up, like let's get all eyes on this and kind of not get distracted by anything on the way there. Mm-hmm. I love having the batches and I miss it, but especially for bigger things, I can kind of see why they might be shifting away from that.
Exactly. Yeah. No, and as we said, I think the Directs came about in a time when Nintendo really needed them. Mm-hmm. They needed people to be excited about what Nintendo was putting out because sales were really low at the time, right? And I think we're in this post-Switch era where they just don't need Directs anymore, And in fact, I think they probably have been crunching the numbers. And they're like, look, when we announce these games, 90 days, 60 days before they release, and we keep excitement really fresh with our release calendar and our release cadence, that gets us better sales, right? And I would imagine that's a huge part of it. And not only is it, the games that they have to think about now, but Nintendo's like a multimedia company now. They're putting out movies, and the movies are kind of acting as little Directs for upcoming games, and not only that, before they just had to like figure out, okay, well, there will be this game releasing at this time and this game releasing at this time. Well, now they also have to factor movie releases into that point.
Right.
When are they going to drop trailers for these movies? Cast announcements have kind of taken the place of like character announcements for Smash games and whatnot. Right. You know what I mean? So it's like
those Directs.
I know, right? That was really, really exciting. And I think, but again, it's like what is good for us is like not necessarily going to be what is like best for Nintendo's bottom line. And I do think that they've just gotten better at waiting to announce games, or maybe they'll tease a game, but then not give like concrete information on it until really close to release. Right.
Right. And I think also something y'all have mentioned on the show before is that Nintendo probably has a ton of games that are done right now. And I kind of imagine they might feel better about like, okay, this game's almost done, so we have a shorter, because that's something I have noticed. I feel like in the last 5 years, there's a much shorter window between when Nintendo announces something and when it comes out.
Yeah.
So especially because of that, I can definitely see them just wanting to focus on one game at a time, basically.
And you know what I think bit them in the ass on that, I think, was Metroid Prime 4. I think basically Metroid Prime 4, them announcing like 7 years ahead of time, and then excitement for that game kind of petering out over that time. I don't think they ever expected that game to be, a gigantic seller. But I do think that they were like, man, we really fucked up announcing this game so early. Yeah. And then they had to come out and do a whole like apology video, and they were like, we're sorry, like
rebooting it.
Yeah, I could just see like some really angry board members just being like, we're never doing that ever again. And it really did seem to change their whole release cadence and the way that they announced games, right?
I could be completely wrong here, but I feel like maybe after Smash Ultimate is when we stopped getting those, because I thought Smash Ultimate got announced like maybe a year before it came out, and now it feels like 3 or 4 months before a game comes out.
Yeah, kind of max. I mean, maybe you see some stuff like 6 months in advance or whatever. I know Splatoon Raiders, interestingly, was announced pretty early last year, and that one's taken a while.
Yeah.
I do feel like that game just needed more time than they anticipated. I don't feel like they've been just sitting on that one necessarily, because otherwise, why would they have announced it so long ago? And then we hadn't seen anything from it since. You know what I mean? Probably just wasn't quite up to par. But Splatoon Raiders is a good example of this because, you know, Splatoon Raiders like was never shown in a direct. Like that game was announced at like in a random Nintendo Today drop a long time ago, and then now we got more information about it again from a Nintendo Today drop. Right? It was like attached to that trailer for, you know, the Switch 2 version of Splatoon 3, right? And so that's just like a really interesting case, and I think that's probably our biggest example of this. Is just like a game that has never been inside a direct, and people are still excited about it. You know, I don't think that changes the number of people that are aware of the game, right? Very interested to see if they do have another direct this year and what would be included. And then, as we kind of mentioned before as well, you know, they do lots of bespoke directs now. You know, I think there's not much of a distinction between an overview trailer and a direct anymore. You know, I do think that they do put out overview trailers for every game now, pretty much. It'll be like a 7-8 minute long, you know, generally like I would say a week or two before a game comes out. You know, they'll put out the overview trailer. Sometimes it's a little bit earlier. Like I know they put out an overview trailer for Yoshi and the Mysterious Book already. And so that's not coming out for another few weeks. But, you know, those are kind of too long to be in a direct anyway. So it kind of makes sense that they would parcel those out. Let's talk a little bit about Nintendo Today, because as you mentioned, you don't even have it on your phone. And I think there was a bit of time at the beginning of that app's existence where they literally would only put out videos on that app and on nothing else. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Wasn't that Pikmin movie short?
Yeah.
Like an exclusive?
Yeah. The Pikmin short that had like 0 Pikmin in it at first.
Right.
And it was like a mystery. And then they put out a version with Pikmin in it.
The Tears
but like,
Pikmin.
Yeah, but people that put that video up on YouTube got their videos like blocked and their channels had strikes on it. You know what I mean? Like you couldn't even screen record in the Nintendo Today app. Like they were really trying to make sure that everybody had that app.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that has stopped. I think now they just put everything out on Twitter again.
That's the thing. Yeah.
And I'm not sure like what changed within Nintendo to make them not want to do it, but that was a pretty bad idea right from the start. Would you agree?
I have to imagine they saw the numbers and they're like, okay, we're losing views here by keeping this on this app. We can just do both. Just put it on the app and put it online.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, it is definitely, I think that having the app or just knowing that like literally any day, any game could be announced does make people compulsively check, right? Whether they're checking the Nintendo Today app or they're going to Nintendo's Twitter profile or Instagram or wherever else they drop stuff. I think that they're kind of training people. It's like almost as like Pavlovian response, right? It's like every day you kind of want to be like, oh, what's the new thing? It's like in Tomodachi life with like the mystery drops every day. I always want to grab whatever's in that shop. You know what I mean? It's like even if
just got that good shop today.
Yeah, exactly. And so I feel like they definitely know what they're doing here. And I do think that like bundling all the announcements together with directs means that, you know, you have these like peaks of interest in Nintendo doing their thing, you know, at these designated times. And I don't think Nintendo wants that from a financial perspective, right?
I don't think so. And something I just kind of thought about right now, I don't know if this exists, but I think it would really benefit Nintendo if they did some kind of like integration with like the Switch system in the app, and you get like platinum coins if you check the Nintendo Today app.
Wow. Yeah.
I might actually download it in that case, you know?
That's actually a really solid idea. I can't believe they don't do that.
I know. And I just don't feel it. For me personally, there's just not that incentive yet of like, I got to download this app.
Yeah. That's really, really a great idea. Not for me, because I don't want to have to just like every day be like, please, company, give me something. You know? But it's like, That does make sense, because when you go on the My Nintendo website once a day, your little me runs across and there's like a gold coin or a silver coin that you can click and you can get a coin for just signing in. So that definitely would incentivize people to actually continually check to see if there is new Nintendo news, right?
Or for me,
we're giving ideas to the mega corporation.
Give when we really shouldn't. Nintendo, 30%, please.
Yeah, exactly. We have in the notes here something that I do think is very true, and that is that directs these days feel very much like third-party obligations, right?
Yep.
And so clearly we saw that in February with the partner direct. And as we said, that kind of started in 2020 over COVID, when I think Nintendo had a lot of big plans for 2020 for the Switch that had to be pushed back. And they ended up doing, the Mario 3D All-Stars instead, and kind of pivoting later in the year to showing that Mario 35th anniversary direct, which I don't think they were going to make as big a deal out of until they were like, we can't finish our games because we're all working from home and we don't know how to do that in Japan. You know what I mean? So that is when they were like, okay, well, we don't have anything we want to show right now, but these people are going to be mad because we promised them a direct. And I kind of do see directs being mostly third-party affairs in the future. And I think 100%. We're already kind of seeing that, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember what was at the most recent direct, but I'm pretty sure it was almost all third-party, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even when it's general directs, like they have just as many third-party games. You always see a ton of JRPGs, you see a lot of visual novels, a lot of Japanese games, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that the most recent partner direct had some interesting stuff I was excited about, like that Bomberman game and some other stuff like that. But it really does feel like a partner showcase is just a regular Nintendo Direct with all the shit that they drop on Nintendo Today stripped out of it.
Right.
Right?
It does.
Yeah. Is there anything that you think they can do with those partner showcases to make you a little bit more excited about them?
Not really. Not for me. Yeah. Like, they work just fine, and I think it makes sense to do those in bundles. Like, obviously, Nintendo wants to sell more games, but they have less of an incentive, I guess, to do. It wouldn't even make sense for them to do individual ones for third-party stuff. And yeah, I really don't know what else they could do. I mean, okay, I kind of remember, I don't know if they've done this recently, but there were some directs that felt like this is the premiere of this third-party thing. And that feels like that kind of has gone away.
I mean, I think that anybody would still kill to be on a Nintendo Direct.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I think that the thing is, Nintendo may see less value in a direct for their first-party products.
Yeah.
But I still think, just look at the view numbers live on YouTube whenever they do these directs.
That's true.
They're still in the millions, right? I think even the partner showcase, the recent partner showcase, had millions of viewers between, Twitch and YouTube and all the places that Nintendo is putting these things up, and that's not even counting all the people that are tuned in to everybody who's co-streaming these things,
right.
And they're big, big events for content creators, right? And so I think that I don't think directs are going away, because that is still the best way for people to get eyes on their games, because like I said, they're an event. It's like Christmas whenever a direct drops, right? People just get really, really excited to watch these things. So I don't think Nintendo is going to completely do away with them, but I really see most of them going the direction of partner directs and third-party showcases.
So. Yeah.
I just can't see them being mostly first-party anymore. Again, maybe we'll see one per year in the summer, around the time that the Phantom E3 still happens every year.
That'd be great if they just is hey, we're bringing back E3 now.
Yeah.
I would love that.
N3, just Nintendo. Something else is, we kind of talked about this a little bit, but it's Microsoft and Sony straight up just do directs. You know what I mean? Yep. And I think that Nintendo probably thinks directs are a little less cool now that everybody's doing them. You know what I mean?
I think so. I watched I'll be honest, I think most State of Plays have kind of sucked.
Mm-hmm.
Not even because the games look bad. They just felt so I don't know if it's just Nintendo just had a very good balance of games or what, but not until the most recent state of play was I like, oh, this actually feels like a direct. Like, here's the thing I'm excited for. I already knew.
Yeah,
about
the most
it.
recent one was pretty good.
It was good, and there's enough new stuff. I think that might be the key. There is new stuff that I hadn't heard of yet or seen or anything like that. And yeah, maybe now Nintendo's seeing that. They're kind of like, okay, let's try something different because it's going to start feeling like the directs, and people might get not bored, but it's not going to feel like, oh, this is an exclusive Nintendo thing anymore. Basically.
Yeah, totally. And I think they're finally getting to the point where they're just as good of presentations as what Nintendo was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And even the Xbox ones are literally called directs. They're like developer directs. Is what they call them.
That's right.
It's shamelessly ripping off the name from Nintendo here. But I do think that the direct was a way for them to differentiate themselves from what the other companies were doing. And now that the other companies are doing the same thing, it's just, they're not standing out from the crowd anymore, right, with their presentations. So I can see that being a factor. Another thing that I thought of, this is going to start getting into a little bit of conspiracy theory and tinfoil hat stuff here, but Nate the Hate and the leaks that he puts out pretty much every year pretty much are Nintendo Directs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this most recent leak from Nate the Hate dropped so much information, and every single bit of it so far has been corroborated by what Nintendo has shown, right? Like, for instance, he said that this summer will be Splatoon Raiders. Here we go, getting Splatoon Raiders in July, right? He said also that, well, we haven't seen Star Fox yet, although maybe we have by the time of this coming out, but we do have a big Star Fox shaped hole in the schedule right now where he said it would fit in July. He said that Rhythm Heaven was coming this summer, and that is coming this summer. A few others that he said are coming this summer that I would expect to be true are a Nintendo Switch 2 version of Nintendo Switch Sports, also Fire Emblem, the new Fire Emblem, Fortune's Weave. I believe that he said that would be this summer as well. So that, to me, is like a perfect August release, right? So I think if we see all three of those games coming out, clearly, not only does Nintendo have a bit of a leak problem, but it's like, fuck, man. Like, if this guy is going to say everything that's coming out, why would they waste their time putting it all into a direct other than just like dropping them piecemeal as it comes out, right? And I think my real tinfoil hat theory about Nate is that because there has been so many leaks over the last few years and sales are still very, very good, that Nintendo might be leaking some of this stuff themselves, right? Because how much cheaper is it to, just
100%.
give information to this dude, have everybody on the internet chirp about it? Like, normies that I know are like, "Oh, did you hear about there's a new Star Fox game coming?" And I'm like, "Is there? I don't know. Nintendo hasn't said anything. I hope there is." We're all pretending like it's a surefire thing that it's going to happen. But it's like these leaks are starting to feel to me like a little bit like they're controlled leaks. It's just kind of a cheaper way to do it. Why get Koizumi into the green screen studio to talk about everything?
Save your budget.
You can just make these little videos whenever it makes more sense to put them out and still have the excitement of a direct happen and get all the buzz around the internet from these leaks. But am I going too far? Do you think that there's any possibility that Nintendo is purposefully leaking information? Maybe not specifically to Nate, but maybe to Nate's contact within Nintendo?
It's likely, in my opinion. I don't keep up with Nate the Hate too much, but he seems like the most accurate of all the leakers.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been anything that's been outright disproven yet. I could be wrong there. I like when celebrities kind of like leak out their own stuff to like TMZ or whatever.
Right.
Like, it builds buzz, and you have this one guy saying it, and then it comes true, and you get more and more people listening to that guy.
I mean, that's what Brie Larson's been doing for the fucking Samus role this whole time. It's being like, the more people talk about me as Samus, the more likely Nintendo is to do it, right?
And I hope she gets it. I mean, she's already gotten in. I forgot. She was in the new Mario movie.
Barely.
So, oh, really?
Sorry.
Oh, no. It's okay.
She's not in it that much.
Oh, dang. Well, she's got her foot in the Nintendo door.
Yeah, of course. And she, she's done promotional stuff with them before as well. But that's beside the point. We're kind of dancing around here. But I mean, before Nate, it was Puro who was really the one who got everything right. But Puro's kind of gone away. But I would imagine that whoever it is that's leaking stuff to Puro is also the one that's leaking stuff to Nate. And it just would really not surprise me if Nintendo themselves are very aware that this is happening. And maybe they're not doing it on purpose, but it certainly seems like they're not doing anything to stop it right now. I think
they're not. And we know how Nintendo's lawyers are. I feel like if they wanted to, they could put something, like, hey, I don't know. I guess it would be pointless to do a cease and desist after someone did a leak, but they certainly seem savvy enough to put some sort of stop to it, which they have not done yet.
Absolutely. Cool. All right. Well, I don't feel so crazy now that you say that is likely.
No, I think it's very likely. I mean, it might not, but I wouldn't be surprised.
I think it's just as likely as the White House Correspondents' Dinner was staged in order to get the ballroom, which is another thing that a lot of normies think. Let's end this with a couple questions here. There's a good one here in the notes that I'd like to ask you and see what you think about this. But do you think any cultural relevance is lost by there not being a big showcase event? Like, do you think, Nintendo pulling back on directs, do you think that affects their cultural capital in any way?
I don't know. That's a great question. I kind of want to say no. Because even though the directs are a fun social thing, there's still the social aspect of the individual announcements too. So I don't feel like they're going to miss out too much in that aspect.
Yeah, I fear that the directs have become so mainstream that normies might miss out on some news by there not being there. But again, it's just maybe it's just my algorithms, but I just get so inundated by any time Nintendo posts anything. You know what I mean? I'm sure it is my algorithm. Let's get real. But I do think that they have had no issues with sales. And I think, there have been differing reports on Nintendo's forecasts for this year on, the sales weren't as big as they were hoping over the winter break. Or we've also heard the opposite, that, Switch 2 is far outselling Switch 1, and it's hard to tell what's real and what isn't. But either way, I think the cultural capital that the directs took up, as we've talked about, are now taken up in other ways by the multimedia approach of Nintendo these days.
Exactly.
I think that these movies are basically shadow directs.
They are. I mean, if you want to be cynical about it, they're long commercials.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what do you think is next? Do you think we'll be seeing at least one big blowout like in the future? Do you think that there's any kind of evolution of the format that they might throw out besides just what they've been doing with these kind of bespoke drops?
I am kind of leaning towards we might get like a one a year typical direct. And then outside of that, they're going to stick to the partner showcases and the bigger individual ones like they did with Kirby Air Riders. It's hard for me to think or visualize how else they can like evolve beyond that. Because I do think the app was kind of their attempt. And I'm not going to say it was a failure because I'm sure plenty of people have downloaded it, but it's not like a piece of news comes out and people are like, hey, this news is out, but we're not going to talk about it unless you download the app, like that's it. Like the news is out.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to imagine like how it evolves this day and age.
I think something that I would like to see, and maybe this is a little bit of nostalgia from me for the era of the Wii, but I really kind of miss when we had like our device as like the main conduit for our news, like for instance, like whenever I would have the Wii and the disk drive would light up blue because there was some like new thing for you to check out. You know what I'm talking about?
I forgot about that.
Yeah. And I mean, all of our Switches now like have the news section on them, but I never look at that.
I never check it.
But I think if they, a lot of people don't realize this, but the Switch has a notification system very similar to the Wii U, or excuse to the Wii. And like, the way that the disk drive would light up blue, the little ring around the home button on the Pro controller and on the Joy-Cons can light up. I don't know if you knew that, but it's like, you can do it. You can set it up with certain games. Like for instance, with, what is it? Brain training, Dr. Kawashima's brain training. If you want to have like a certain time of day, it'll light up your Pro controller or your Joy-Cons being like, hey, now it's the time to do your brain training or whatever, right? Yeah.
Okay, I had no idea about
exactly.
that.
So I think like stuff like that, bringing that back, keeping it all on the system. Like if they want to make a direct us to you, like they're trying to do with Nintendo today, people aren't going to do that. Like, why would you look at the app on your phone when your phone has all the other apps that has all the information on it, right?
Exactly.
But like keeping everything within the Switch ecosystem, keeping it like on your TV, learning about stuff that way, maybe even just streaming stuff on the Switch. I think that is a really great way, especially because they've got hundreds and hundreds of millions of these devices out there in the world right now.
Right.
And I think that, young people, especially, maybe that don't have cell phones, they're going to be getting their information through there as well. And again, not to just give a bunch of, tips to the mega corporation on how they can better inundate themselves with children. But that seems to be like a good way to respect your players a little bit more and not just expect them to use this app that, frankly, I don't think anybody really wants to use.
Right. And something else I just thought of, something they could do would just be like, they do a drop and they announce it, and then they'd be like, if you want to check out like exclusive gameplay, like go to the app or the Nintendo Switch news thing. Just finding some way to like, okay, it's not exclusive, but you get a little bonus if you go watch it on this. If you go watch it the way we want you to, basically.
Yeah. I think that's a good call. Well, any last words on Nintendo Directs? Are we ready to say RIP or are they not over yet?
I feel like they're not completely over yet, but we're getting close. I was just trying to think before we recorded. I was just like, oh man, what has been my favorite Direct? And I can't pick one because I feel like so many different Directs have had huge announcements that I loved. Like, I think for me, the two most memorable ones might be, I think the Smash Ultimate reveal.
Everyone is here.
Yes.
Yeah,
like it looked
crazy.
like it looked like a new Splatoon game. And I was like, okay, cool. It's like, oh, it's a new Smash Bros. Game.
Yeah.
And then, at least for me personally, the Metroid Dread drop. I remember that one being like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, no one expected a new 2D Metroid. It just feels like that's kind of gone, that level of holy shit. I'm so glad I tuned in.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we can all say holy shit in the future.
Hopefully.
I know even with all the leaks, I still get excited when a game
Me too.
that I heard was leaked is finally announced. Because, you get to see it, and you get to, because you anticipate what it's going to look like. And then when you finally see it, it usually, isn't exactly what you expected. So at least the excitement's there, right? But
if this Star Fox game happens, I'm going to be so happy.
Absolutely.
That's going to rule.
Absolutely. I'm such a huge Star Fox fan. Anyway, what do you think, listener? Are you, okay with the slow heat death of the Nintendo Direct? Do you check the Nintendo Today app? Are you okay with the recent cadence of information releases from Nintendo? Please, if you have any thoughts on this, let us know in the comments. But I think that is going to do it for our main topic. And we are going to take one last little break here. And when we come back, we're going to be talking all about the games we've been playing recently. So I haven't been playing a ton this past week, other than the game that we'll talk about in a second. But I did have Rob come over recently, and we did play some games together, and one of them was Kirby Air Riders. And this is actually the first time that I've booted up Kirby Air Riders in some months since I actually bought this game. I don't buy every game that we talk about on the podcast here. A lot of us share games that are involved in the podcast. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But I did buy this one, and for some reason, I just kind of quickly bounced off of it. But it was fun to kind of revisit it. It made me sort of forget how insane the game is. You know what I mean? And how hard of a game it is to like show somebody who doesn't play it on the reg. You know what I mean? Like Rob had never played this game before. And so the whole like concept of city trial was completely new to him. And I think he was completely baffled by it, but he also picked it up pretty quick. And I think Rob is just like a capital G gamer and like really is good at kind of sussing some of that stuff out and figures out game systems really quickly. But yeah, it's a very odd game. And I think I've been playing a lot of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe again recently, especially since the boost mode came out on the Switch. I love playing that game in handheld now that it's in 1080p.
Ooh,
and
yeah.
So going from like that to Kirby Air Riders is such a brain-breaking situation because it just plays nothing like Mario Kart, but I think ultimately the game I've been playing most of is obviously still Tomodachi Life. Like I said, I've got about 55 hours into this game right now, and I do think I'm finally starting to slow down a little bit on it. I was playing it quite obsessively. I think I have maybe 35 Miis on my island right now.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been making quite a few. For a while I was just doing like the Beatles and their wives, and then that turned into making all my friends. I had a lot of like female friends, so it was like I was like, oh, finally a reason for me to have all these cute girlfriends. I can like make them all in Tomodachi Life, and I'm really happy with all the friends that I've made so far. I think I've been doing a pretty good job, and I think I've like found a pretty good skill set in actually making pretty respectable Miis. I also made Grimes recently.
Your Grimes Mii was fantastic.
Thank you. I'm really happy with the Grimes Mii. Grimes just married Vladimir Lenin. So they're really happy together, and they moved in with George Harrison and Patty Boyd. So that just happened. I also just made Neil Stevenson, who is a sci-fi author. I'm reading one of his books right now. And so I made him into my game. I wonder if I'm the only person on earth to make a Neil Stevenson Mii. But I still am having a really good time with the game. It's just now I'm kind of just checking every day for like new clothes and whatnot, and whatever they drop at like the daily shop. I'm kind of not as excited about people hooking up or getting into relationships. I just still like the Mii creation process, you know? And so I'm really hoping that we do get some content updates for this game. Just like a couple little things here and there would really put me back into it. But I mean, I can't blame the game for that. I mean, even if from here on out I never touch this game again, I still got my $60 worth. I put 50 hours into this game. That's quite a bit, and I had a ton of fun. But I will be continuing to play this game, just not as obsessively as I was in the past. What about you? What have you been playing this week, Jay?
My main focus has been Yakuza 0 Director's Cut. I'm very close to beating it. Fantastic game. Then I was also on the Pacopia train for a bit, still kind of am. And then, like I mentioned earlier, I got Tomodachi Life, and that has completely hooked me.
Yeah.
I think for me...
Who are some of the Miis on your island?
Okay, my current roster, I put me and my girlfriend on there, which has been very cute and very funny. And then I have Wario, Homer Simpson, Nigel Thornberry.
Nigel Thornberry. Oh, I feel that would be easy to. You just move his mouth really low down, and then you got a Nigel Thornberry.
I didn't make him, so I found out you can download Miis in the Metopia demo.
That's true.
I forgot I had that one downloaded when I tried the demo years ago. So it's just like, let's put him on the island, and he's probably my funniest villager yet. And then who else? I think that might be it. I have two other characters that are just like some diseased looking seniors that I just kind of put on for comic relief. My next goal is Ryan Gosling, John Cena, and Dr. Steve Brule. I need those three on my island.
That's true. I did see Cena in our Discord.
Yes.
Steve Brule.
That Brule is so good.
Yeah, it's a very good Brule. Yeah, really good stuff. Who do I still want to make? I mean, I've made all the Beatles, and I've already gotten into their inner circle. Like I have their roadie, Mal Evans, and their manager, Brian Epstein. They're both on the island. I still need to make Neil Absalom, who is their who was their tour manager.
What if you made like the Yellow Submarine characters? One of those.
I'm not going to make the Yellow Submarine characters.
Okay.
Come on.
All right.
What do you think I am, a child? I want to play with my dolls on my island.
That's fair.
Yeah. No, I'm just fucking around. No, I feel like there are a couple. I need to make my family. That's what I need to do.
Oh,
I think my mom and my dad and my sister and my brother. Those are probably
one day.
Yeah. Well, that's what I've been doing. It's like I've been having all my friends come over and then I make them while they watch, And I did that with Rob, and I think Rob was actually really bored. And I got kind of butthurt about it. I was like, bro. Come on. But my Rob me looks very good. So jokes on him.
That's the fun of it, man.
And now Stalin is in love with Rob. So
Stalin.
I do have Joseph Stalin on my island. Anyway, we're getting in the weeds. That has been our show. Oh my God, Jay, thank you so much for coming on. Did you have a good time?
Absolutely. Yes, I had a great time.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Number 7.
As well.
Call it 7.
Well, let's call it 7. Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you very much to MilkyWay.co for doing our website. Thank you to Corduroy for doing our music. Thanks to all of our wonderful patrons over on Patreon. If you'd like to find me online, I'm pretty much everywhere on the internet at Monolith Fiji. And what about you, Jay? Where can people find you online?
I guess Blue Sky, which honestly I have not been using that often. I think my name on there is The Huge 27.
Very good.
And
The Huge 27.
Outside of that, don't look for me.
Mostly in the Discord, I would say.
Yeah, and Discord. Yeah, of course, the Discord.
Very active Discord. You can find Jay in there. If you'd like to find our show on social media, we are at Switch Headz on Blue Sky and Twitter, at Super Switch Headz on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We have a website, switchheadz.com. And then, like we said, we have a Discord. We also have a Patreon and a Facebook group. Please join us over there on the Discord. We'd love to have you in there. It's such a wonderful community. Still kicking every day, man. Every day there's new great discussions, new great content. Such a wonderful community. We'd love to have you be a part of it. We're also not going to stop you. If you want to throw a couple bucks into the Patreon there, that would be very much appreciated. It helps us keep the lights on here at the show. But other than that, share the show around with a friend. Like we said up top, word of mouth is the greatest way that you could support the show. Also, give us a like over on YouTube. Give us a subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you see every time we get a new video up. You can also leave reviews over on Apple or Spotify. Those all also help with visibility for the show. And then hit us up on any of these sites where we do vertical videos. We would love to have your patronage over there as well. But you know what? That's going to do it, gang. We got another great episode lined up for you guys next week. But until then, you know the drill. Be safe out there. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to one another. Make an indie game, but don't rush into the White House and try to kill people. Let's not try to kill people, but you can make an indie game. Fuck guys, free Palestine. We love you very much. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.